I bet you are on this soul journey. Maybe you just come across this because you're like, hey, that's a cool looking podcast. But I bet there's been a point when you've done a Google search to maybe uncover your soul abilities, maybe your psychic abilities, maybe you don't know kind of abilities. Well, whatever it is, I'm sure you've used a trusty search engine, no matter if it was back in the day of Ask Jeeves or more modern with Google or Google. I bet you've used Google for a lot of things, and I bet your soul journey is absolutely a part of that. Now, there are things with your searches that actually tell a lot about where you are in your soul journey, how far you've gotten in your soul journey, maybe reflective of your own abilities, just asking questions. We're going to go over some questions that you may have Googled. We're going to see how popular maybe some of these Google searches are, so you can know, oh, see, I'm not the only one who's asked that, as well as the kind of phrases you may have Googled, and maybe indirectly phrases that could have to do with your soul abilities or your lack of control of your soul abilities. That is coming up this week on NextGEN Medium, the podcast. Hey, my name's Sarah Nickerson. I am a psychic intuitive medium. I figured this out a couple years ago. I actually took like this 6-hour mediumship course where within the first hour I was focusing on a certain part of my brain, and it was there that I started uncovering my soul abilities, my soul journey, and a whole new world that you are invited to be a part of. Not my world, your own. You have your own world that I'm a part of too, but you have yours, I have mine, and you are invited to this world. My mission is to bring you to the threshold, to hold your hand as you cross that threshold, and to start you out on your journey. And this journey is all about your soul work, your soul abilities, your soul senses, trying to make sense of it all. One of the problems we face is that people just aren't aware that these are tools for you to use. We tend to believe that there are some people that have this and some people that don't. My belief is that we are all invited to explore these abilities, that we all have abilities, and it's there for us to discover at all points of our lives. Some people have a luxury of knowing about this stuff when they're kids. I was not one of those people, and I get a feeling you're not one of those people either. But I am here to say, at the age of 33, I took a 6-hour mediumship course and found the world that was beside me, inside me, the whole time. The whole time. And I saw glimpses of it, but it wasn't until I took that class that my whole experience exploded. I had a spiritual awakening, and then I became very curious. Were the things I went through in that 6-hour class for real? Is it possible that I could be a medium? But I haven't known this stuff my whole life. I thought people knew that. Like, there's no avoiding knowing that stuff. Well, I'm here, standing here, saying, that was me. That was my experience. I was asking those questions. And if you're asking questions too, I bet your little fingers have danced across a keyboard, typing out those questions into a search engine. So let's face it. If you were to go to somebody, I don't know I don't even know who you would go to ask, am I psychic? I had this experience, and I'm not sure if that's a psychic experience or if that's just what people experience and we just don't talk about it, or... Okay, I don't know a person I could have gone to ask that, other than the person that was, in charge of the 6-hour class that I went to. They would be very open to those kinds of questions, but Not everybody has a resource that's so open about those kinds of things. So that's what I'm here for. And that's what Google can help you with too. And I'm wondering if Google brought you here. Did Google bring you here? No matter how you got here, I bet you did look in a search engine for certain questions that you have. Google is great because Google will let you type in the strangest things and not be judgy about it. Will Google give you what you're looking for? Yeah. But is that really what you wanted? Maybe. So that's kind of the downfall of Google, is it gives you what you asked for, and sometimes you don't realize what you asked for isn't what you really wanted. That can be the case with some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. But I wanted to create an episode where we talked about those kinds of questions that you would put into a search engine. One of the reasons is because I want to clarify what you're asking. Psychic is one of those words that is such a huge umbrella term for a lot of things that I just want to clarify. I just want to make sure I want us on the same page with what psychic really means. I kind of went on about this with the last episode, but I am never going to pass up an opportunity to clarify that. But I wanted to take phrases that people are searching for, that I've done my research and I know people are searching for these things. And I wanted to talk about these phrases and let you know that other people are looking for that stuff too. I bet there's things you've put into a Google search that you didn't realize is actually a hint at your abilities, a hint at your awareness, or maybe an indirect link to how you are coping with your psychic senses. Interesting. Where's she going to go with that? You'll find out. So this episode is a way for you to be able to identify your questions with those that others ask too, and about the same fascinating subject that makes you wonder if you could possibly be part of this soul world. It seems exclusive, but it's not. You're invited too. We're going to start with the most obvious of phrases to start our Google search episode. The most obvious question to start with is, am I a psychic? I would love to think that people would put that in and the search engine would just come back. You know how with Google, sometimes they'll have the answer right there for you. And then other times you got to kind of sift through all the results that come up and you got to go to this blog and you know what's the worst? Recipes. Oh my God, dude. I just want a banana bread recipe. No, I'm not putting mayonnaise in there. What kind of recipe is that? Why did you give me that recipe, Google? I think you understand what I'm talking about. But I imagine at some point, possibly in the near future, Google will take that question, am I psychic, and maybe give a little clarification. Did you mean intuitive? And if that's the question, then Google should automatically just put yes. And then have no links. It's sort of just a known fact. Yes. You are intuitive. Are you psychic? That's a different question though. Are you psychic? So when you are looking for the phrase, am I psychic, what you're actually searching for, wait, let me back up. Psychic. All right. Culturally, there's an understanding of this word that's sort of a misunderstanding. And that has to do with our culture using psychic as a word that's supposed to represent all kinds of things, when actually it only represents a couple things, because it is one of our soul abilities. I like to call it a concentration. I kind of think of it like when you go to college as part of the School of Economics, the School of Business, the School of Nursing, or medical, or whatever. And then you have a focus, you have a concentration. So I have a communications degree. Concentration for me was audio engineering. So in communications, it could have been journalism, it could have been multimedia. I'm thinking back to 2003, so this is probably way different now. In fact, recording engineering, they don't even offer that anymore. Because when I graduated, it basically became defunct, which is awesome to get a degree in an area of work that basically disintegrated as I was progressing in school. Thanks for that. Journalism, TV production, radio. So these are different concentrations. And different concentrations in the soul abilities worlds would be... Okay, that's my furnace. You're going to hear that a lot. Throughout this podcast series, you are going to hear that furnace. Okay, I just want you to be warned. Alright, now that we've laid that out, your concentrations and soul abilities would be your intuition, your psychic ability, your mediumship abilities, okay, your healing abilities. There, laying it out. So, when you're asking, am I a psychic, you are actually only talking about, can I see things that happened in the past? Can I see things that happen in the future? So, you're actually narrowing down soul abilities quite a bit when you're putting that into a search engine. And if you get results that say something different, then you need to question, then buyer beware. Then you need to maybe find another source to go off of, because one of the big things that we need to do right now is discern what exactly psychic means. And I'm saying we as in like an industry, because this kind of crap's going to come up a lot, okay? And there's a lot of irritations because of it. But anyway, digressing. So, am I psychic? If that's something you search for, then it shows that you're pretty new into trying to uncover this for yourself. Because as you dig deeper, you find out, oh, there's intuition. What does that mean? Oh, mediumship. What does that mean? Psychic, people are thinking, oh my God, I thought exactly what that guy said, so I must be psychic. And we can get a little more specific as to what that is, but overall, that's really not a psychic ability. That's more of an intuition ability. But here's me getting caught up in the weeds. It's difficult. I get it. You're trying to look for the answer. This is my answer to that Google search question. Maybe. That's what I'm going to say. Maybe. Yeah, there's a possibility. Would you know if you're psychic? Not necessarily. Boom. But I will say, if you've had an experience that makes you question, am I psychic? Then I would probably say that you are psychic. And I would not even be surprised either if I were you. Okay, a little inside information here that I want to explain. How did I come across some of my information? There's a little tool that Google has called the Google Keyword Tool. And being from a marketing background, I understand this tool. And maybe you've come across this tool. But this Google Keyword Tool allows people to put in a word or a phrase. And you get to see how many people are looking for that particular word or phrase. You get to see how popular that word or phrase is compared to other words. And this helps you with your marketing efforts to try to sell things. Okay, that's why anybody does marketing. Now that you are aware of that tool exists, maybe you'll think about your Google searches a little differently. Not only can I see how popular it is, it also gives me numbers that help me judge the popularity. So let's give you kind of a general sense. It tells you if nobody's looking for a word or a phrase, but it can say 1 to 10 searches per month, 10 to 100 searches per month. It's not exact with like an exact number. 100 to 1,000 searches per month. 1,000 to 10,000 searches per month, 10,000 to 100,000 searches per month, and so on. Now, I also want to note that these numbers that I'm going to roll off for you, these are worldwide. So, searches worldwide. These aren't for a specific region, which is how specific you can get with this Google Keyword Tool. If you love analytics, this is the place to go to. But let's take a look at that last Google search question. Am I psychic? I want to see how many people are searching for that. This is a popular term, especially when it comes to this field. It is searched 1,000 to 10,000 times a month. I can't imagine it's the same person typing that in every single time, which is something you could take into consideration. Well, I get a feeling you're only going to type it in once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times, just to see what's out there for information. Now, let's go along with the same soul world kind of phrases. Okay, so let's go with a sense. People are familiar with the clairs. This is how you sense this non-physical worlds. This is how you pick up on information. And one way to do that is through your clairvoyance, clear seeing. So using that mind's eye, that's how I do it. So the question is, am I clairvoyant? This is a Google search. It's searched an average of 100 to 1,000 times per month. So as you can see, some people would go right to psychic as opposed to being clairvoyant, because psychic is a more commonly understood as clairvoyance, but this is pretty specific to a sense. Am I clairvoyant? Do you have the ability to see with your mind's eye? Another one was, what is psychic power? Okay, so if you're searching for what is psychic power, the fact that you're putting power in there, it's already kind of telling me that you are pretty new to the world of soul stuff. Psychic power, you know what I think of? I think of superheroes, superhero power. And that phrase has 100 to 1,000 times per month. That is searched 100 to 1,000 times per month, which is very interesting to me. Okay, first of all, it's not, am I clairvoyant? What is psychic power? Those are both averaged at 100 to 1,000 times per month. But these two phrases give me very different understanding of who is doing these searches and how much information they've gained already. So if you're looking for a search that says, am I clairvoyant? This gives me the understanding that you have already kind of done some research on your own and you're not brand new to this. You've actually been educating yourself. Whereas what is psychic power? This is sort of a new concept to you. Maybe you want to see if an experience of yours fits in the psychic power realm. But it is funny to me that these could be searched about the same amount per month, which is good. It's good that I'm seeing the word clairvoyance as popular as a phrase like psychic power. That gives me hope. Another phrase, signs I am psychic. Also, am I psychic? These were both searched 10 to 100 times per month. So this tells me that someone had an experience and they want to be validated. This is good, 10 to 100 times per month. So they are open to the possibility. They're aware of what psychic is. My daughter Lucy, her room is right above my microphone, so you're going to hear weirdo stuff all the time. She's going to be dancing. She's got a skateboard now, like all hell's breaking loose upstairs in her room. But anyway, signs I'm psychic, am I psychic? This is open to possibilities. I love it. I hope you're searching for that one. But again, psychic is very specific to, can you see things in the past that have happened? Can you see things in the future that could happen? So is that really what you're looking for? Because if you're looking for a sign that you're a medium, maybe you're hearing people talk to you. And that would not fit with the psychic world. And here I go talking about psychic. It's a tricky word. It can be a tricky word to spell, which is why I did include the misspellings as part of my research. Overall, trying to search for anything resulting in what is a psychic, am I psychic, do I have psychic powers, shows an interest in the subject, and you're aware that this is even a thing, and is most likely asked due to having a personal experience. So that right there is showing that you have seen something in yourself that could be counted as paranormal and that you are open to wanting to know more. So let's get deeper. What does searching for empath have to do with your psychic abilities? Or your soul abilities, or anything like that? Well, the fact of the matter is it doesn't have anything to do with psychic abilities. Empath is actually your intuition, just clarifying. But empath is one of those trendy words we're seeing that people identify themselves with, which is really cool because that is one of the clairs. Clair empathic. You take on people's emotion. You can feel people's emotion. You can even feel their pain. As an empath, you take on the emotions of others. If someone around you is sad, it makes you feel sad. As an empathy, you are picking up on other people's energies, their high energy emotions like joy and their low energy emotions like fear. I didn't have the phrase empath growing up. I'm glad we have it now. But taking on energy and emotion was very overwhelming for me, and it still can be, which is why being around people is very draining for me. Maybe you can relate. Okay, so if you look for Am I an Empath? This was searched between 1,000 and 10,000 times in a month. This is a very popular phrase. To see something so specific like empath and clairvoyance, this stuff gives me hope that people are open to themselves being part of the soul world, because that's what that stuff means. 100 to 1,000 searches monthly for Am I an Empath quiz. Oh, we all want tests and quizzes. We want validation. Am I an empath or just sensitive? What type of empath am I? What kind of empath am I? I am an empath. Now what? Why am I so empathetic? What kind of empath am I? Test. What kind of empath? What? I didn't even know there were different kinds of empaths. Why am I an empath? How empathetic am I? Ultimately, you want to be someone who knows of your empath abilities, which is linked to your intuition. Maybe that's what you should be looking for if you're looking for that phrase. But you also want to know how to make it stop sometimes, right? We'll talk about that in another episode. Okay, another sort of indirect search that you might be looking for of what could seem like a medical diagnosis or a symptom. So if you're looking for a medical diagnosis, sign, or symptom, sometimes this stuff goes along with experiencing your psychic senses. Is it always going to be like that? No. Should I see a doctor if I'm smelling something burning? Yes. Like, you don't ever take that logical portion out of things. You always consider that there's something medical going on. That's my disclaimer. But I can imagine someone having a weird experience, then going to Google to search out medical stuff. Like, what is a medical condition where I smell things that aren't there? Or why do I see things that aren't there? Again, these things could very well have an origin that has to do with a medical diagnosis, but these are things that are also experienced with your soul senses. 1,000 to 10,000 monthly searches for phantom smells. Did you search for that? If you're smelling something that isn't there, you could very well be experiencing a clair. To be specific, we're talking about clairalience, clairscent, clairolfaction. 3 things for the same thing. You're welcome. Why? What is the difference? I don't know. It's just the world we live in. Another symptom. So it can be linked to maybe experience your psychic senses. Maybe it's a reaction to experiencing your psychic senses. Or maybe it's sort of overwhelming to feel out of control and not being in touch with your higher self, with having trust in your intuition. There's a lot of reasons why you could be looking for anxiety, signs of an anxiety attack symptoms. 10,000 to 100,000 people are searching for that. God. And I've been one of those people. 1,000 to 10,000 monthly searches for panic disorder symptoms. Now, again, there could very well be an underlying medical thing when you were searching for these phrases, but there could also be soul sensory stuff going on, or underdeveloped, not acknowledged soul stuff. So one thing that is a soul sense is clairaudience, hearing with your higher senses. This is big in mediumship, and maybe you hear voices. And I say that because in our society, when you say that, that means you have schizophrenia. Perhaps a personality disorder or a neurological disorder, or maybe psychosis. So that's what you could be thinking if you hear voices. And schizophrenia, of course. So I had to put that in this episode. There are 10,000 to 100,000 searches for the following phrase and keywords: signs of schizophrenia, schizophrenia symptoms. 10,000 to 100,000 searches a month for those phrases. Lesser searched at 10 to 100 searches were for hearing people's thoughts, schizophrenia, and hearing voices, not schizophrenia. Another one we can't ignore has to do with medications and side effects. So when we are talking about medication, you searching for a medication or side effects of a medication, what we're really talking about is being diagnosed with something that could actually be a hint at your soul abilities. So if you're searching for side effects of a medication, you're already taking a medication for something that you're diagnosed with, right? There's this indirect relationship with your soul senses that could be taking place here. And I think in the case of anxiety and depression, one of my core beliefs in anxiety and depression is that we just have this hole inside of us that is a lack of confidence, a lack of self-assuredness. Believe depression and anxiety a large contributing factor to its pervasiveness and us taking all these medications for it and then having to look for side effects with these crappy medications is that we don't have a trust or a faith in our intuition, our own connection to everybody and everything, so we feel alone. And we also feel like we don't have control. And when you get in touch with your intuition, you gain trust in your intuition, creating a back and forth communication with spirit or the source. I believe you find a self-assuredness, a prioritization, things that actually have helped relieve some of my depression and anxiety of my own. And I think it's a huge thing that's missing in our culture is being in touch with that emotional self and that illogical thing. We put so much priority on logic that makes sense for where we are now, but I think where we're going as human beings, there's a whole different side of the path of the pendulum that's going to swing back, and we're really going to uncover a lot of things that we aren't addressing as human beings as part of our experience. That's actually, I think, going to help aid in the mental health quite a bit. So talking about medication side effects, we're really showing how we're coping without having that relationship, how we're coping, and we know there's a missing piece. So if you're taking a medication for anxiety and depression or for schizophrenia, then we have to talk about you doing some Googling on the side effects of those medications. Gabapentin side effects, prednisone side effects, metformin, zoloft, lisinopril, Lexapro side effects, 100,000 to 1 million monthly searches. All these people taking anxiety, depression medicine, looking for side effects of their medicine that treats the symptoms. But what's the cause? 10,000 to 100,000 searches monthly for phrases such as the following: sertraline side effects, tramadol side effects, amlodipine side effects, doxycycline side effects, trazodone side effects, Wellbutrin, escitalopram side effects, Xanax, amitriptyline, Adderall, Cymbalta, venlafaxine, Abilify, Effexor. These are all anxiety, depression medicines. But what is the cause? What's the cause of that stuff? Ugh, it makes me sick looking at this list. So now what? Actually, yeah, that's part of my research. What now? So if you're looking for that, you've already come to the conclusion that you are psychic, or that you are a medium, or that you do have psychic abilities, which is fantastic. Good for you. If you looked for that, then damn, good for you. Now you got to find why you want to use them. That's actually the next step. You got to find your purpose. You got some thinking to do. Not a lot of searches compared to our other more popular results, but people are looking for these phrases. Am I psychic? What do I do? 10 to 100 searches a month for that. I have psychic abilities. Now what? That's 10 to 100. What do I do with psychic abilities? 10 to 100 searches. So I'm super stoked that people are aware of psychic abilities. Are they aware exactly of what psychic means? I just want to be sure of that. Remember, I talk about that all the time. But I'm super stoked that they are open, that could be theirs to be had. Because honestly, it's there for you to access. And intuition, mediumship, healing, they're all part of the mix, just as accessible as intuition. Your soul abilities, psychic is just a piece. Intuition, mediumship, healing, they're all in the mix as well. I believe intuition is the one that we all have that in common. When it comes to those other ones, you got to play around with it, but there's got to be one of those that is the strongest for you, the strongest skill for you. Some people have them all. Some people only have one. And just because you don't have them all doesn't mean you can't kick ass at it, because I bet you can. If you're one of those people asking, what do I do now? Then you need to decide if you want to work, learn, and commit to understanding your soul abilities. It's nurtured. It's not there in an instant. And once you've decided that you do want to learn and you are up for the commitment, then it's time to be quiet and listen. It's time to take notice of how you receive and also acknowledge it when it happens. And then start putting some intention out in the world and start paying attention to the answers. Because you're going to be the one to ask the questions and give the answers. There. All the stuff you looked for in Google, maybe more things you've searched for in Google, but I bet a couple of those ring true for you. Well, that does it for this episode of NextGen Medium, the podcast. Find out more at nextgenmedium.com. I have a blog there. I have a vlog, and of course, more podcast episodes for you to listen to. And thank you for listening. If you'd like to schedule a development session with me, I would be more than happy to help you out, get you to that threshold, or help you cross into it. Or if you're already past that point, I can guide you into place and get you on the bike and launch you off so you can go do your own thing. Just go to my website, nextgenmedium.com, and book an appointment. You can flip through my calendar and find a time and day that works great for you. Are you on social media? I am too. Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, just a few ways that I do the social media. And that's going to do it for this episode of NextGen Medium, the podcast. Until next time, do some more of your soul journey, be quiet and listen, and I'll chat with you again later. See you, bye.